was New Year's Eve, and Jake decided to spend the night alone. He wasn't in the mood for parties, so he stayed home with some snacks and a movie. Around 11:45 p.m., while lying on the couch scrolling through his phone, he got a text from an unknown number. "Don't bother locking the door. I'm already inside." Jake froze, looked around the room, and texted back, "Who is this?" but received no reply. At 11:50 p.m., there was a knock at the door, sharp and deliberate. He checked the peephole, but no one was there. He called out, "Hello," but got no response. His phone buzzed again. "Why are you looking outside?" "I told you, I'm already in here." His stomach sank. He checked the locks on the door and windows. Everything seemed secure. At 11:58 p.m., Jake called his neighbor, Mr. Carson, to ask if he'd seen anyone outside, but Carson said it was quiet and no one was around. Jake tried to shake off the feeling of unease. Then another text came through. "You're looking in the wrong places." Jake's hands shook as he checked every corner of the house. Nothing. The knocking stopped, and everything went silent. Just as the clock ticked closer to midnight, his phone buzzed again. "Turn around." Hesitant, Jake slowly turned and saw a tall figure standing in the corner of the room, its face hidden in shadows. His heart raced, and he couldn't move. The clock struck midnight, and fireworks lit up the sky outside. In the brief flash of light, Jake saw the figure's face, something inhuman, and it vanished. His phone buzzed one last time. "Happy New Year." The lights flickered, and then everything went dark. A couple of years ago, I went to a New Year's Eve party at my friend Alex's place. It was the usual crowded house party, full of people I didn't know, drinking and yelling over loud music. Around 10 p.m., I noticed a guy standing near the sliding glass door to the backyard. He wasn't talking to anyone or holding a drink, just standing there, watching. He was tall, pale, and wearing a dark coat that didn't match the casual vibe of the party. At first I thought he was just shy, but every time I glanced his way, he was staring at me, unblinking and intense. I nudged Alex and asked, "Who's the guy by the door?" But when I turned back, he was gone. Alex just shrugged, but the unease stayed with me. As midnight approached, the house got louder, and everyone crammed into the living room for the countdown. I tried to shake off the weird feeling, but then I saw him again, standing in the hallway. Same coat, same blank expression. I turned away for a second, and when I looked back, he was gone. The countdown started, and when the clock struck 12, everyone cheered as fireworks lit up the sky outside. That's when the power went out. The house plunged into darkness, and people started laughing and pulling out their phones. I grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen, and when I turned it on, the beam landed on the backyard. He was standing just beyond the glass door, staring in. His face was pale, and his eyes, there was something wrong with them, something inhuman. I froze as the door rattled, his hands pressing against the glass like he was testing it. I shouted for Alex, but by the time he got there, the door was wide open and the backyard was empty. Alex laughed it off, but I left the party not long after, feeling sick to my stomach. I didn't sleep that night, and I've never been able to forget his face or the way he stared. I don't know who or what he was, but every New Year's Eve since, I've stayed home, locking every door and window before the clock strikes midnight. New Year's Eve had always been a big deal for me. It was a night of fresh starts and promises, but last year changed everything. I was home alone, trying to stay awake until midnight, scrolling through my phone and half watching a movie. Around 11 p.m., I got a notification for a text from an unknown number. It read, "Have you made your resolution yet?" I thought it was a prank and ignored it. But a few minutes later, another message came through. Don't lie. I know you haven't. I stared at the screen, my heart racing. Who was this? I replied. Who is this? The response was instant. Look outside. My stomach dropped. Against my better judgment, I walked to the window and peeked out. The street was empty, just the faint glow of streetlights and the occasional firework in the distance. I texted back, I don't see anyone. This time the reply chilled me to the bone. I'm not outside. I turned around, and that's when I saw him. A man stood in the corner of my living room, his face obscured by shadows. He didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, watching. My phone buzzed again. Your resolution is overdue. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I bolted for the door, but it wouldn't budge. When I turned back, the man was gone, but his voice echoed in my head. Next year, don't forget. Midnight struck, and the power went out. When the lights came back on, everything was normal, except for a single note on my coffee table. It read, "See you next year."